And welcome, everyone, to episode 5 of the Motorsport Show. Phil Brannigan, welcome.
We're 10 weeks in. 5 episodes.
10 weeks and 5 episodes. That's just not too bad.
I didn't think we'd go this far.
No. And we should say we didn't think we'd go that far after the last episode as well.
What happened last episode, Gerald?
Well, Phil, we have to let's get into it straight away first.
Righto.
And I've got to just turn my volume down on my phone here while we're trying to make sure that we can see the questions and everything coming up. Well, the last episode we got blocked, of course, and I wasn't really happy about it because
Is that right? Because it was a bit hard to tell.
Yeah. And what happens is that Supercars' vision was blocked automatically by Facebook because they pick up the logos and Supercars like to protect their vision. And so we had people tuning in to watch us. They were getting upset. I was getting a bit upset. And I might have said a bit of this.
I'm guessing we can't go to that video either? Nope. Okay, all right. So we'll just talk about it. Scott, why not?
Who's blocking us? Is it Supercars? What a pack of arseholes, seriously. What a pack of arseholes. No wonder the series is going shithouse.
Time wounds all heals, Gerald.
Well, it does, and I'm sorry for calling everyone an arsehole, but I must thank Nathan Prendergast for good chats on the phone. Look, I've known Nathan for a long time, and we can be civil with each other. He gave me a serve, so I sent one back, and we nutted it out because he is a good bloke and they do a great job, so apologies for saying that they're a pack of arseholes. I did mention it afterwards that the only pack of arseholes are the people that booed Jim Richards at Bathurst all those years ago.
That was a long time ago. Anyway, let's not go back there.
They're still
it's
there,
all
though.
fixed. Everything's
still
fixed.
there, those people.
Thank you, Supercars, for sorting this out. And we have vision. The irony, of course, is there's no
We've got no
Supercars.
Supercars vision this time.
There's no races to talk about because there hasn't been any races for a few weeks. But there will be this weekend, so we'll talk about those in a few weeks' time.
Now, there's plenty going on in the world of motorsport, Philip.
Really? It's hard to tell.
There's NASCAR, there's Formula One, there's Indy cars, there's drag racing. There's been drag racing all over the world.
Thank goodness.
We're only going to cover 2/3 of it, though. But
the world?
Yeah, we're not.
Wow.
We're not going to talk about European drag racing series.
I don't speak European.
Which was on the weekend, but the big one tonight's, and which we want you, the viewer, we want to hear from you and have your interactions with us here on the show. The big talking points, of course, the Canadian Grand Prix and Sebastian Vettel.
Yep.
The penalty, 5-second penalty. 5 seconds. Not long enough for a toilet break.
No, well, maybe it was, but he was in the car, so let's not. That's something we don't talk about here on the show.
No, so
especially at my age. A new depth for the Motorsport Show. Thank you very much.
As Phil likes to say, he's got incontinence tyres on his car.
Incontinental tyres.
Incontinental, sorry. So we're going to talk about that in the show, and we want everyone's reactions and comments on that. There's it's probably, I reckon it's probably a 50-50 split at the moment.
Yep.
And we'll also talk about the world's most expensive cap with vegetables in it, the F1 salary cap for 2021, which was announced the other day at $175 million US.
But there's a few exclusions, and we'll get to those when we talk about that in depth a little bit later on in the show. But
just a couple of exclusions.
Just a couple of exclusions. A couple of things you might need if you're planning on going into Formula One racing and doing some Grand Prix. But let's talk about some news first, Gerald, because there is some news, and it's not good news for the people who are involved with classic racing, and especially one of the big race car meetings of the year on the classic calendar at Lakeside. It's not going ahead.
No, and so Queensland Raceways, which runs the venue, which is John Tetley, and they also run Queensland Raceway at Ipswich, they've cancelled the meeting because they can't get any help from the Moreton Bay Regional Council. They want a moratorium for noise issues. Yep. Now, this went public a year or so ago, and there was 18,000 people signed a petition saying they wanted the events at the venue, and the venue is terrific for the area. The local area brings a lot of people in. They spend a lot of money in the local area, but the Moreton Bay Council apparently aren't wanting to play. So Queensland Raceways has cancelled, pretty much under protest, cancelled the event, which is a shame.
It is, and I understand that the limit they're looking for is 75 dB, and the limit they're allowed to run is 70 dB. Now, that's pretty much not beyond what you'd hear on the road. And certainly if a truck goes past on the air brakes, it's going to be louder than that. And it is unfortunate. Look, the racetrack's been there since the 60s. It's got a great heritage. Of course, the great attraction with going to Lakeside, as it is to Phillip Island, for the big classic meeting down there in March, is some of the cars you are seeing actually raced there back in the day. And Lakeside is a fantastic spectator venue and fast as heck. There's always been entertaining racing at Lakeside. So it's bad news so far as next month's classic meeting is concerned, but let's hope there can be some sort of resolution and we'll see a return to racing at Lakeside sometime in the not-too-distant future.
Well, it would be good.
It's a great place.
It would be terrific if that could
Except
actually
when
happen.
it floods and you're actually up to your knees in water.
I've never been there.
You've never been to Lakeside?
No.
I've never been to Indianapolis.
Oh, well.
There you go.
You're missing out.
So we're even, which also isn't a very fun place, I would imagine, when you're up to your knees in water. That was a long time ago, and the race was postponed by a week, and all the support guys had to leave the transporters there, and it was great. Back in the 90s.
It is a great place. Not Lakeside. Well, it might be, but Dave Harding's on. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Harding.
Good to see you. Scotty Betts, Dave Harding, Jenny Betts. Hello, Jenny. Colin Russell, one of the gentlemen of Australian Motorsport, should have been in the
Hey, Colin.
an OA or a AM or whatever.
Were there any in the on the
Tony Heasley, the world's fastest supercars driver, Jamie Sargent is watching.
Is he?
Is.
The world's fastest in the world?
Supercars driver, absolutely.
In the world.
Did that at Lake Gardner back in 2005.
How do you know?
I was there.
Really?
Yeah.
I was at Lakeside. No, I wasn't.
No, it was terrific.
Hey, speaking of the Betts family,
yes.
What's going on in the Betts? This is what people stop us in the street because we've got so many viewers now on the Motorsport Show, and they ask, "What's going on with the Betts family?" Gerald, update.
Before we should say thank you to the people that are watching. Our last, after I called everyone a pack of arseholes, our last show we actually had 3 times the amount of views as what we had the previous shows. We've grown every episode.
Who can we call a pack of arseholes this week?
Oh, you just hang around, Philip. You just hang around.
All right. Wind him up, folks. Wind him up on Facebook Live.
Great news this week with Steve Betts has been announced as the general manager for 400 Thunder Drag Racing Series. Now, the series hasn't had a general manager for the last 9 or 10 months since Kevin Prendergast vacated the role. Another great administrator. And you could tell that the series has been sailing without a rudder for that time since, and that series needs some help desperately. The 2 owners of the series, Willowbank and Sydney Dragways, they only sort of look after their own events. They're not really promoting a proper drag racing series. Let's hope they get behind Steve Betts and allow him to do the job that series needs. Let's also hope that they push a bit more control for that series to him. Because I tell you, out of the Winter Nationals on the weekend, Philip, which is the biggest drag race outside the United States, this is a huge event, 500 competitors.
Yep.
The teams all rain affected, unfortunately. No one can have any say in the weather. But the teams come out, they put on a show, the officials work hard. But no results on the 400 Thunder Facebook or social media or their website for 2 days after the event, or nearly 3 days.
Yeah. And
not good enough.
And a public holiday in some parts of the country, not in Queensland. So let's hope that Steve Betts is a man with a vast level of experience, probably almost unrivaled in this country at the moment, and a long history and a massive level of enthusiasm for drag racing. So let's hope Betsy is the guy who gets it on the straight and narrow.
Now, a good question's come by David Driscoll, because we were talking about Lakeside, and he said, did Australian Crawl write a song about the track? No, they actually wrote a song about where the Albert Park track is. Correct? Lakeside.
I see what you've done there.
No, they did. That's what it's about.
Really?
I believe so.
Okay. Australian Crawl from Frankston. Mount Martha?
Yeah, Mount Eliza.
Mount Eliza. Possibly both. In Victoria, for those of you in Australia, for those of you watching around the world.
Absolutely. Now, news. We've got even more news here, Philip.
Yeah.
And
What's happened?
We've got even more news. Now, Robbie, are we going to be able to see this? Here we go.
What's this? Oh, this is Indianapolis.
Now, Simon Pagenaud, the Indianapolis 500 winner. Believe me when I tell it, it's not fake news. Not fake news. There's no crooked Hillary. It's not crooked Ron. Not crooked Roger Penske either. It's a great track, a very, very great track, the Indianapolis 500. Huge crowd, a huge crowd. And the only crowd bigger than the Indianapolis 500 was for Donald's inauguration, but they have been to see Donald at the White House.
The inauguration?
Inauguration. It was a huge victory.
It was a great victory for an American driver, unless someone tells him he's French.
And
for an American car. Wow.
Simon Pagenaud, Ron Penske, Roger Penske, they were winners. Everyone else, very bad losers. Very, very, very bad losers.
How did they go in the comedy festival, Gerald?
Oh, very good.
Dallara car. I think they're actually assembled in America. But
they're done. They're done in India.
Yeah.
Actually, Dallara has a fantastic shop and museum and exhibition down near the Speedway. It's terrific to go.
Is it near Indianapolis Raceway Park?
Yeah, you know where that is.
I don't know where that is. I've never been to India. How many times have I got to take? I've never been to Indianapolis. If anyone wants to send me a ticket.
Well, you had an opportunity a couple of years ago.
I did have an opportunity a couple of years ago. And now, are we going to... You do the throw. It's your show.
Well, because we are so pleased to say we've got our first advertiser on the show, Philip.
It's been such a...
Our first advertiser.
It's been a hard sell.
Jansen, Dodge, Jeep and Chrysler from North Platte, Nebraska. Let's go.
Hey there, how's it going, everybody? It's Jason at Jansen's for Dan's Deal Today. Do you have a tiny little pecker? Do you want everyone to know about it as soon as you arrive? Well, then check out this hunk of shit behind me. You got a 2012 Chevy Silverado 3500. That was an LTZ, means it's pretty fancy. You got leather and all that bullshit. Come look inside. All right, now you're going to want a step ladder to get in this big motherfucker. But check it out. You got power running boards. Oh! In there, it's your basic Chevy LTZ, right? Leather, fucking uncomfortable ass seat. Guys, we are calling this the LDS. That's right, the Little Dick Special. So if you have a tiny little cock and you want the whole world to know about it, you're going to want to drive this piece of shit Chevy. And we'll see you soon, motherfuckers!
So next time you are in Nebraska and you're looking for some American off-road action, that's where to go.
Jansen, Dodge, Jeep and Chrysler.
What sort of car do you drive? How big is your car?
It's a VBD.
I don't know what that means. I'm scared to ask.
Very, very big. Very big.
Oh, dear.
It's huge. Huge.
I drive a moderately sized four-cylinder car, folks. True.
Ah, geez, there you go. Now, we're getting comments coming through, which is great.
Probably from my wife.
Pagenaud is pronounced Panu, guys. He's French. Thanks, Tony Mansard. Pagenaud.
He's American now. He's racing in America.
Exactly. So,
Panu. Tony Panu. We should ask
Jean Girard.
We should ask Diff. He's going to be in Australia this weekend. We should ask him.
Well, but apparently Donald Trump did say, "Well, look, what have
don't do the voice again?
What have the French actually ever done for anyone in the world?" And he said, "We invented extrasensualism, democracy, and menage a trois." And Donald said, "Oh, they're three very good things, very good things."
I'm begging you, please stop. Hey, Robbie, can we turn his microphone off? Is there any chance I can go solo for the next 45?
Oh, Jesus. Oh. Just grab her by the pussy. Righto, drag racing. Let's go.
At last.
Talking about grabbing by the short and curlies, let's go drag racing, NHRA. We'll go to America first before we talk about the Winter Nationals. And been two events in the last 2 weeks. There's the next 2 weeks will be another 2 events, so they're doing 4 back-to-back. And let's go to Top Fuel and Steve Torrance. What a great couple of weeks he's had. What a great 5 events in a row he has had. And we see him here in the final, this first one at at wherever they were. Chicago, where he beat Mike Salinas. Fantastic. That was 4 in a row. And then in a very historic final at Topeka, Kansas on the weekend, where he raced his father, Billy Torrance, in the final. Only the second time ever in NHRA history that a father and son have met in the final of Top Fuel.
And who came out on top?
The son. So Steve Torrance won by 8 1/1000ths of a second.
Billy, don't be a hero.
And what a great team they are, the Capco team. They've won 5 in a row. Billy's also won a race earlier this year, I think, down in Arizona. So that's 6 out of about 9 events so far this year they've won.
Who are the only other father and sons to have done it?
Connie and Scott Collitter back in Gainesville in about 1994 from memory. So the late great Scott Collitter raced his father Connie, and Connie beat him, the legendary bounty hunter. So that was pretty damn good. Now in funny car, let's go and have a look at the funny cars. And in Chicago, it was Tommy Johnson Jr. against Robert Height. Height smoked the tyres. Tommy Johnson banged the blower at the end there. You can see the hatches open for the pressure being released under the body on the Make-A-Wish car. And so that's his first race win in about 18 months. But Robert Height, didn't affect him too bad, because he came back this weekend over there in the far lane racing the other bloke there. Jack Beckman. No, I'm not. Jack Beckman. But that's Robert Height's 4th win for the year, and the John Force Racing Chevy Camaro. And a good battle going on there in funny car. Ron Cap's also doing very well. J.R. Todd for Collider Motorsports, the DHL team, put his funny car, the Toyota Camry, on pole, which was the 100th pole position, top qualifying spot for the Collider team.
But there were a few impacts. It wasn't just the great racing that people went to see. There were a few.
Well, yeah, there certainly were. And we've pulled three of the best over the past couple of weekends. So let's go first, Robbie, with clip number 6, and it's Andy Bowl in top alcohol funny car.
Gee, that would have hurt.
And here he goes straight across the track there. Really a tough one. Of course, it was later in the evening. You know, was the track a bit greasy? I don't know. He's probably got out of the groove there a little bit, and bang, side on into the wall first. It's turned the car around on its side, and a lot of damage there for Andy Bowl, especially where, you know, the underside of the car hits that wall fill. It certainly give the driver a big jolt. Let's go straight into the next one in Pro Mod on the weekend in Topeka in clip number 7, Robbie. We'll run them back to back, and this is Jeremy Ray in the Corvette, and the roof hit the wall and just missed Eric Arenda's. That was a very, very close one. You see, with Ray, his car actually gets way out of the groove, and he's off. The big drama with these cars, if they get out of the groove, no traction, they start turning the tyre. Well, they turn on one side, they grip up, and can send them right around. But just missed Eric Arenda's there. And we see this, the slow-mo of this is incredible. If anything's a relief there, where that car has actually hit, he's sitting obviously on the inside rather against the wall, so would have lessened the impact for Jeremy Ray a fair bit more.
Yeah, you look at the safety features on the Pro Mod cars, and they really are just, I mean, they look basic. It's not a carbon fibre tub or anything like that, but the safety equipment inside those cars is amazing, and it did its job.
And, of course, down here, Philip, where we host the Motorsport show, Murray Anderson is here, who's built World Championship winning cars in the US and Australia, and we've got a Pro Mod downstairs, and we can see that. Let's roll the next one, Robbie, and the next one was Todd Tutterow in also Pro Mod against Stephen Whiteley in eliminations, and again, it got out of the groove, came over, hit Whiteley. Tutterow got out of the groove, hit Whiteley, and ripped the side out of that car. You can see it. He actually does all the right things. The chute's coming out. He felt the car going a little bit and pulled the chutes. They've hit the finish line and just ripped the side out of both cars there. So tough break for those guys.
And a 5-second penalty from the stewards.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to know what actually was the cause of those accidents,
young bloke, cold tyres, fucked it up.
It happens.
It happens.
Happens to the best of them.
What else can you say? What else is going on in the big bad world? Oh, hang on. Winter Nationals. We've got to cover the Winter Nationals. Winter Nationals at Willowbank Raceway, and we'd love to tell you all of the results and everything, but quite surprisingly, and again, I've given them a little bit of a touch up there at the start of the show, but the results weren't up on the website for 2 days, nearly 3 days, and still they don't have a list of champions in any category because it's a season-ending event, and there's no list of champions. Ridiculous.
They need to do better. Look, I don't claim to be the world's biggest drag racing expert by any stretch of the imagination, but there are plenty of people out there who would love to be online, and yes, they might be following it bracket by bracket on social media, but shine up, guys, get your results out there. And because don't forget, it's the World Wide Web, and people around the world will want to know what's going on down here in Australia with the Winter Nationals, so please do better. And hopefully that's one of the things that will be one of the first improvements, because the sport deserves it, and there are a lot of fans out there who would like to do more and engage more with the sport.
World-class top fuel field at the event. 7 cars turned up. Rochelle Splatt pulled out prior to the event with a lack of sponsorship, but it started off with a bang, and let's go to the video, and here is Damien Harris for Rapasada Autosport International, or International Autosport. 3.778 second elapsed time. He actually then went quicker than that later on in the event. He went a 3.774 for a new national record. So a fantastic run. Now that run would have qualified him well into the field in the US on the weekend in Topeka. Slightly different conditions, and that's fine, but I mean that's how good a run that is, and a number of the other cars as well. Qualifying was rain affected, so all of the categories only got one shot at qualifying. Now, what that did was that it actually ended the championship hopes in pro stock for Chris Soldatis, and also for the defending pro alcohol champion Steve Reed. Unfortunately, with the rain, they only had one shot each. Those guys weren't in the best 8 in their fields off that one shot, and so those championships were decided. Now, first round, we've got first round of Top Fuel, and here is a sensational race, the quickest side-by-side race in history. Wayne Newby for Rapasada on the right, Phil Reed on the left, 378 to a 381, both of those over 500 kilometres per hour. Huge crowd. What a way to start eliminations.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The best quarter mile Top Fuel.
Well, 1,000 foot, but
1,000
but
foot.
Newby's car even had a cylinder out there, so
really?
Could have gone even quicker again.
Wow.
Now Wayne Newby went on to win the event against Kelly Betts in the final. Unfortunately, we haven't got any vision because none of it's online, none that's really good enough to show. Kelly Betts, the final ran about an hour and a half after what it was originally scheduled, which not too bad considering the size of the event and the dramas that they had. But Kelly Betts just blew the tyres off on the hit of the throttle. She pedalled it 6 or 7 times trying to get down the track. Couldn't get down there. Wayne Newby got to 300 foot before he had to pedal it. So he only ran a 5-odd second time, but took the win. And in taking that win over Kelly, that gave him the championship, and Kelly finished second for the year. So very good, a very good result. Gary Phillips claimed his 20th
20
Pro Alcohol Championship. Or top.
Amazing.
He is amazing. He also won the event in the final round, which wasn't great, again, because of the time the track had gone off and cooled off. But a special mention goes to Kate Sullivan from the United States, who ran in Pro Stock Motorcycle. She won the event, came out for one event, won the event, and also set the national record in the 6.9 second range, so with only the second ever 6-second run in Australia. So fantastic result for her. Chris Matheson in Top Bike, Top Fuel Motorcycle, a 6.03 on his way to winning the championship and the event. And a 6.03 is almost in the 5-second zone. There were accidents there, and sadly, and here we go with Corey Dyson in Comp Eliminator, won the race And then, unfortunately, Philip,
Yep. Bang.
in the darkness, the dragster went over and upside down into the wall. Thankfully, Corey was okay. I think we see here the replay. Just, it's starting to get a little bit slippery at night. Car moves around a little bit. And just when he pulled the chutes out, I'm not quite sure what or why, but sadly over he went. And thankfully, again, missed that car. But apparently there's been an investigation into what actually happened, and the official word is...
Young bloke, cold tyres, fucked up.
There it is again.
Seems to be a curse all over the world.
It does. People say drag racing is an easy sport. If you're going to drive at those speeds, it's never an easy sport. It's never an easy sport. All right. Phillip Island on the weekend. The weather at Phillip Island on the weekend for the Shannons Nationals. Sorry, the Nationals. Absolutely fantastic.
The Shannons, the Nationals?
The Nationals?
Yeah, we're not saying Shannons because they don't sponsor us.
The Nationals.
Unlike our friends
The Winter
at,
Nationals. Sponsored by Winter?
unlike our friends at Jansen, Dodge, Jeep and Chrysler in Nebraska.
They're good for service too. They service all vehicles, including European front-wheel drive models.
Now, Australian GT Championship was on down there, Phil, on the weekend.
3-hour race on Sunday morning. 14 cars here. They go off the front of the grid. It's a little bit long, I've got to say. I know it was on the calendar months and months and months ago, but the field and GT racing is a little bit down at the moment in Australia. The level of the competition is really good, but everything didn't quite work out. And the race for some of the competitors, and the race was actually stopped at one point. But it was a great result if you're an Audi fan, Gerald.
Yeah, it was. Jeff Emery, the reigning champion, along with Garth Tander. But the KTM had the dramas there and stuck it in. That's why they stopped the race. And then the Benz there had all sorts of dramas.
Getting started.
Yep, got out of the way and underway after that safety car when the race was stopped. Tony Quinn and the guy in bed. Oh,
this one was you.
I'm losing it. There's Jeff Emery. He was looking very happy. He's jumped on the plane to Queensland to celebrate in the warmth. Garth Tander taking the win for Audi in a weekend of double duties for Garth Tander.
Yeah, he's on the podium and people are spraying champagne at him. He's going, no, because the cars are lined up in the pit lane for TCR, Robbie. And we saw the second round of the Australian TCR Championship. And on Saturday afternoon, it was a great win. All-the-way win for Dylan O'Keefe and the Alfa Romeo, who just absolutely cleared out. There was some great racing, a bit of rubbing his racing further back in the pack, but the Alfa just jetted away from most of the Tander family. I'd suggest that anybody in supercars, by the way, who has trouble with their restarts, have a look at this race and have a look at Dylan O'Keefe. He just absolutely hammered it every time. But the Alfa went all the way on Saturday afternoon. In second place was Will Brown in the Hyundai. So we're already starting to see, Gerald, the differences in TCR and some of the cars. Some of the cars are starting to suit some tracks and some of them are starting to suit the other tracks, because on Sunday afternoon, Dylan O'Keefe went again ahead of Brown and Hamish Rabatis. And on Sunday afternoon, Brown came through Nathan Morecambe. Dylan O'Keefe, unfortunately, went around to the first corner, and there was a bit of biffo and some severely damaged cars, and there'll be some repairs in the TCR field prior to the next round, which is at the Bend next month. But TCR, it's gaining ground. 19 cars on the weekend. There's two more Hondas out there, and there are suggestions that there might be some more cars on their way to Australia for the following rounds of the TCR series.
But they do have to replace a couple of cars, don't they, Phil?
From the weekend?
Yeah.
I think I haven't actually checked. I think there might be some repairs going on. Let's see what happened on Sunday.
So this is Sunday's.
This is Dylan O'Keefe. And one of the things I need to talk about possibly in the future is some people have suggested there might need to be a second warm-up lap, because look at the lack of control as the Renault spears off the track and the Subaru goes with it. And the rear tyres, of course, all these cars are front-wheel drive. Michelin supplies a fairly sturdy tyre which has been in TCR competition for 4 years. And some drivers are thinking that maybe it would be best to do a second warm-up lap. Will Brown says you don't really need that. But there was some very solid racing at the front between the two of the young guns, 21-year-old drivers on the front row of the grid. And there is the altercation between Tander and Tander down at Turn 4. And, Sunday night dinner would have been a little bit tricky between those two. Of course, it wasn't their fault, and they They got on with things, and then O'Keefe lost it in the first corner, and there was a bit of biffo further back through the pack. One of the Hondas going in there. I think that's Tony D'Alberto's car getting a fair bit of damage, or is that Martin? And yeah, there will be some repairs necessary before the next race. Whether they could bring some new cars into the country to replace some of those, we'll have to wait and see. But the racing is certainly pretty close, and there's a fair bit of determination going on there.
Here's a bit of the biffo and barge. There's Andre Heimgartner having a bit of tape-to-tape with the Hondas. There is Will Brown in the Rondo Hyundai.
Yep.
And this kid's a superstar. So looking forward to seeing him do very well indeed.
Already had an endurance drive and been impressive in supercars, doing well in Super 2.
Now, the problem, the front-wheel drive cars, Phil, I understand that they've looked into why the first lap accidents are happening. And, Robbie, have we...
Young bloke, cold tyres, fucked up.
Understandable.
Not all young blokes. Some of them are.
Now...
Are we going to have to pay LP royalties for this, by the way?
Yeah, we pinched the vision.
By the way, can I just throw something in here? It's not on the run sheet. Jack Perkins stepped in and did commentary. He was good. He did a great job. Actually, all the commentary team, Nolte did a great job. Noonan, it was actually pretty good.
I didn't watch.
Didn't watch?
No.
JP. And what about Garth ragging on his hair in the presentation? That was funny. No, I did a good job, Jack. Well done.
Tony Heasley, I think the guys in TCR need to learn how to get the tyre pressure and temperatures right beforehand. Yep, they probably need 2 warm-up laps, pretty much like Super Tourers used to do many years ago,
It's been talked about. The second warm-up lap thing on Super Tourers came out of the big crash there in 95, which was tragic on so many levels. Don't do it overseas. This Michelin tyre is designed to work in all sorts of conditions and all sorts of series. Is it 20 countries TCR's up to? I'm told there's 800 TCR cars have been built over the last 5 years. There's a heck of a lot of racing going on, and the people who make the tyres are not dummies. Of course, Michelin supply the tyres here and different brands overseas. 800
of the things. We talk. There's Audi. Was it last year or the end of the year before? I think actually end of 2017 had built their 200th. GT3 car.
Yep.
So, and that's one manufacturer.
And the other thing to point out is most of these teams only got their mitts on their cars relatively shortly before the first round of the series, so there hasn't been a lot of testing. So the teams are still learning as they go. Some of the teams are still sourcing spare parts. So once they get the handle on the cars, I think this is going to be less of a problem. I don't think it's a particular problem at the moment. But if there is a lot more races with lap 1 incidents, maybe this is something that needs to be looked at, but probably not just yet.
I think one thing that is a problem, Phil, and we'll go to the image if we can, I think this is a problem. Normally...
Free entry?
Absolutely. Handing out free tickets to a series. We've seen other series try to do it in the past, and what it does is does it get people interested in it? Yep. But they get used to going to events without having to pay for the entry fee. And that used to happen a lot at the Calder Park Thunderdome years ago, and people wouldn't turn up if they had to pay.
Well, that's true, but I've got to say at the same time on the weekend, the crowd for a Nationals round was actually quite good.
Of course it was, because it was free.
Yeah, that's right. So it picks up. Usually you get 500 or 600 people at one of those events. Someone said the crowd was over 3,000 on Sunday, so they'll take that. And look,
but you can't just keep tipping money in.
No, I know. But the business model of TCR doesn't depend on gate receipts.
Well, someone's got to pay the rent of the track.
Someone is paying the rent for the track.
Yeah, but you don't just keep doing that forever.
No, I know.
That's the only thing I would say about that, because you don't do that forever. But it is. I mean, the cars look great.
They do. The racing's close, and you talk about it's on for young and old. There are some good young drivers coming through. 4 female drivers on the grid on the weekend. Something there for the ladies.
Leanne Tander and Garth, but Leanne Tander jumped in and was pretty damn quick.
Yeah, almost 0 wheel time before she got onto the track. You would never have known she was there if you read the papers.
No. And I think the series, they did a great promo before the event of driving the cars across Phillip Island Bridge. What's the bridge?
Phillip Island Bridge.
San Remo Bridge. But I think they probably missed out on doing something, and there might have been some reason why behind the scenes, but I would have liked to have seen something with Garth and Leanne as a couple together with the two cars, I think it would have gained some pretty good traction media-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good idea. What's next? IndyCar.
IndyCar.
We've got any IndyCar? What went on in IndyCar?
Adam Hughes, while Robbie gets the IndyCars ready, Adam Hughes, front-wheel drive is just a different way of thinking to set up, which we're not used to. Pretty much right, Adam. Absolutely.
I have a front-wheel drive car, though it was on four-wheel drive on the way here because it's raining in Melbourne. So switchable all-wheel drive, that's the way to go. How are you looking, Robbie? IndyCar. Let's go.
Thumbs up.
Let's
Motor
go
Speedway.
to Texas Motor Speedway. And mile and a half, the speeds were absolutely extraordinary. Takuma Sato on pole position in the Honda. And
so was his teammate.
And some of the parking in the pit lane was not what you would call a very high quality. A problem there. Is that Rossi heading towards the wall?
There's Newgarden.
Yeah. Penske at the moment are just on the most fearsome roll. And a slight wing adjustment there, and he gets back into the action. And as usual, there were plenty of scrapes, almost flat around the Texas Speedway, 227 miles an hour.
Now this is a killer. Have a look at... now, Rossi's in the car behind here. You watch this for a reaction. Look at that.
That is amazing.
To keep that car under control. Absolutely fantastic. He actually had a challenge on Newgarden there for the lead going into turn 1 and 2. Newgarden took it back, and he went on to take the win, his third win of the year.
And what a result for the White House and all of the members of the Trump administration. First, Newgarden, USA. Second, Rossi, USA. Third, Rahal, USA. Fourth, Santino Ferrucci, the rookie, USA. And fifth, RHR, Ryan Hunter-Reay, USA. Sixth, Simon Pagenaud, Indy 500 winner. Now, honorary, USA. Will Power was ninth. Points, Newgarden leads the points, 367. Rossi, 342. Pagenaud, 319. Dixon, 278. Will Power's back in sixth place, 254. A long way to go. But some great racing there at Texas and the week before in Detroit.
My wife's just texted me and said, get off the phone. Michelle, it's because the bloody computers are going slow here. I'm sorry. That's why. I'm trying to just make sure we're getting everything that people are saying. Glenn Smith saying, sharp show, boys.
Beg your pardon?
Sharp show.
He wants us to show boys?
He's saying it's a sharp show so far.
Oh, okay. All right. That's
Michael
good.
Tabor said,
thank you very
agree.
Much. Much better than having a blunt show.
Absolutely. NASCAR and Monday, not Memorial Monday, Rain Day Monday.
The good old boys celebrating the Queen's birthday weekend.
Absolutely. Here they go. And Joey Logano off the front row there. Now, this year has been all about, and Logano took the first stage win, but this year has been all about, and then whoever took the second stage win there. Now, when the real action starts, they've got to get rid of those stages. Just absolute crap.
I know.
Jesus Christ.
He shortened some of the races too, by the way.
The 14, Clint Boyer. Well, actually, we should have had the pictures of him punching on the other week. That was pretty cool. Clint Boyer put it in. But Logano got into the back of someone. Now, here's Truex Jr. and Kurt Busch. Now, these guys, Toyota and Chevrolet, were actually helping each other, trying to get to the front of the field. The Sports Clips number 20 car went around, and that closed the gap up with just about 5 or 6 to go. 2 to go. It was Logano, Truex, and Busch. Busch got underneath Logano. Truex, I should say. And Logano, though, could not be beaten as much as they try. And took his win, which was his, as we go to the notes, Philip.
Yep.
Logano's second win of the year. So far this year, it's been Toyota 9 wins with Kyle Busch 4, Truex 3, Hamlin 2. Ford have got 5 wins with Logano and Keselowski. And Chevy have got just the 1 win. That's in the championship races, though, not including the All-Star race. Chevy have only got 2 or 3 total for the year. And
Chevrolet and Toyota drivers helping each other in a NASCAR race.
Now,
you know what that is, don't you? That's socialism. That's the beginning of the end.
Oh.
The good old boys down south will not be enjoying that.
That's why they weren't at the White House.
That's why they weren't at the White House.
No, very bad. Very, very bad.
That is very bad. Notice I'm not the one doing the voice, Michelle. He's the one doing the voice. The
interesting part about Busch, Kurt Busch and Martin Truex Jr. there in second and third, helping each other, the trio. Bryce Seals, who used to work for the Holden Racing Team and also PWR and Perkins Engineering. He is the shocker expert on the number 1 Chevy, and we've spoken about James Small, who is the engineer on the Truex Junior car as well. So a couple of Aussies in there helping out the action. I'm looking forward, Phil. I'm going to Sonoma in 2 weeks' time, or a week and a half's time.
Are you well? Is everything all right? Oh, in America.
I'm going to Sonoma and going to catch up. I've been in touch with both the boys because I've been very lucky to work with them in supercars.
Yep.
So I'm going to catch up with James and also Bryce and have a chat, see how they're going. But clearly they had a good weekend. A good Monday.
You'll be able to speak to them with an accent that no one there will understand. Well, Sonoma's in California, so hey, it's in wine country.
Exactly.
You don't drink wine.
I do. So.
You spill most of it.
No, I'm not a quaffer. I'm a guzzler.
I'm a guzzler. I had a really good cask of Grange.
Check out the tannins.
At least that's what it said.
Check out the tannins.
Tannin barrels. What's next? F1.
Andre Fuller's come out and said a shout out to all of the officials, volunteers, competitors and spectators for making the Winter Challenge Noosa Hill Climb an awesome event. Where do you think they held that, Phil?
On a hill, you idiot.
Whereabouts?
I don't know. outside Weber's house.
In Noosa?
In Noosa. Up his driveway.
Yeah. So a shout out to all of those officials and all of the officials everywhere.
It's a great part of the world, and B, it's a cracking event. I haven't been there either.
No,
or Indianapolis.
Been to Noosa.
It is nice. Noosa is nice.
We talk about Penske, though, Phil. Now,
Ron Penske?
Ron Penske and his lesser-known brother, Roger.
Never heard of that.
An incredible year across all of the championships they're running.
Got the numbers? Give me numbers.
We've got the numbers. Now, these are championship races, so none of the extra fiddly bits. 5 wins in 13 races in 15 races in NASCAR. 5 wins in 9 races in IndyCar, including the Indy 500 and the Indy GP. So clean sweeping there in the Midwest. 2 wins in 5 races in the WeatherTech Sports Car Series with the Acura, better known as a Honda. And 11 wins in 14 races in supercars. So that's 23 wins for the year so far in 43 championship races.
It's just astonishing. That's the high water mark of motor racing right around the world.
It really is remarkable, isn't it? And the people that are out there saying they're cheating, and how do you know that? Oh, because we're cheating and we can't catch them.
That's the old adage. The number of times I've had people say that to me over the years.
We can't catch them. They must be.
That's right, because we're cheating like hell.
Yeah. Now, everyone at home, don't forget, you can bash some comments in and on Facebook, and we do want to hear what you've got to say. I should actually look on our Holden Motorsport page as well, Phil, because we've got that.
We do?
I'll just
do that. Any comments there about the Canadian Grand Prix?
And we want to talk about Canadian Grand Prix because that is coming up next, and what a way that finished.
Well, while he's digging that out, Robbo,
let's go.
Let's go to the videotape. Vettel taking Ferrari's first pole of the year in Canada and leading away from the silver Mercedes-Benz. Now, Hamilton was really smart at the start of the race. Look what he didn't do to Leclerc. Didn't slice and dice him. Didn't get himself out of position. Knew he was going to come out of there second and took advantage of the situation. As usual, someone goes over the first chicane and re-enters the track. Lando Norris, the young rookie at McLaren, didn't have a very good start to the day and was soon parked at the end of the pit lane. But the other guy, the young guy who came through the field, was Stroll, Lance Stroll, the local hero. And there have been quite a few question marks over him in the Force India No Racing Point team, but you have to say he certainly came good. A great battle on further down the field, and that was Daniel Ricciardo holding off Bottas, who had a really dud weekend. And this is the moment everyone's talking about. There goes the Ferrari of Vettel over the chicane at turn 4, comes back onto the track in front of Hamilton, and subsequently earns a 5-second time penalty. And he sped on to be first across the line in car number 5 for 5-second penalty. And as the crowd celebrated another Ferrari victory, that wasn't going to be a Ferrari victory, Binotto, the boss formerly technical director of Ferrari, was not very happy about that. Continued good form from the Force India No Racing Point team. And the mum gets a bit excited there. Sebastian Vettel takes the flag, but not by more than 5 seconds. So Lewis Hamilton takes Mercedes-Benz 7th win of the Grand Prix season in 2019. He's 5th. Woo. And the Mercedes-Benz flavoured crowd, wearing Mercedes-Benz silver myself, looking very happy after the race. But there were some not very happy people in red, including Sebastian Vettel. And we've got vision of what happened afterwards.
And let's have a look at that.
I don't think...
No, that was not yet.
No. He wasn't that... Larry, just calm down a bit. He wasn't that young and he wasn't on cold tyres.
We needed to actually see the incident first there, Robbie. Number 19. We're going to replay that incident again.
This will be one that's been talked about. We talked about for a long time. There goes Vettel off the road but the other thing is Lewis Hamilton crossed. Have a look at this. This is from Vettel's car. You won't actually see the silver of the Mercedes-Benz, but you see how far he is to the right. Now, what the stewards actually deemed, and this is a great overhead shot here. Look at Hamilton's wheels. They are all over that line, but he really didn't have anywhere else to go. Was he trying to stop himself hitting the Ferrari? Was he trying to just...
Young bloke, cold tyres, fucked up.
And he would know because he raced Formula 1.
He did race Formula 1. Jack said on the weekend he hasn't really had that many discussions with his old man about his Formula 1 career. So he will now. But, okay.
Well, at least Larry had a point of view on what happened there at Canada.
By the way, we've got to stop wearing the same
How
colour.
embarrassing.
Didn't you get the email? Okay, what do you think? 5 seconds, deserved or not?
No, it was absolute shit.
Really?
Oh, Philip.
Oh, Gerald.
Look, Robin, I know in the letter of the law, It might have been great. It might have been correct. It might be spot on. But it's car racing, right? And the bloke's made a mistake. Mm-hmm. There's an area there where you can make a mistake and actually not destroy the car, but you can come back on and go on and win a race, right?
Yep.
He's done all the right things. I mean, the guy's gone into a corner at 100 mile an hour. Jesus, what a joke. What a joke. I mean, in Australia, you can cut 3 corners off and win a race.
Yeah.
But
that was within the rules.
But the bloke's trying to control the car because he's made an error. He's trying to control the car. No one's hit anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's racing.
It's
too many rules. Let's decipher everything. Let's go to the, what about the fans?
Okay, my take on this is that rule was clearly in place, and that rule has been in place for a long time. Now, there have been examples, and we're going to have a look at a couple of them, where that rule has not necessarily been enforced most directly. And let's go back to Robbie. Have we got the vision? Have we got that? Oh, this is what people talk about. This is the kind of racing we like to see. This is the 1977 French Grand Prix, and this is René Arnoux in the yellow Renault versus Gilles Villeneuve in the Ferrari, and Arnoux goes off the circuit and comes back on.
Did he get forced off?
No, he didn't get forced off.
What's he doing? What's Villeneuve doing there? Now Villeneuve's just banged wheels with him, and they've got. So,
and the reason we're showing this is because some people say this was one of the great battles. People still talk about it, and nothing happened. Yeah, something did happen. Both drivers were reprimanded before the next race. Neither of them was penalised, but they were both reprimanded by the version of the day of the Grand Prix Drivers Association.
Peter Wright, it was dangerous re-entry. He almost took Hamilton out. Peter, how does he stop the car and not re-enter the circuit? Impossible.
That's true, but the rule doesn't say the car has to be under control when you get back on the track.
Okay, so if it says he doesn't have to be under control when he goes back, there's no such thing as dangerous re-entry then, is there?
Well, I don't know, but I know what the rule says, and I know that the most recent example of this rule being applied...
I'm not yelling at you either, Peter.
I know.
Paul.
He'll call you an arsehole in a minute. But the most recent example of this being applied was in Japan last October between Raikkonen and Verstappen. And that was a 5-second penalty was handed out on that occasion as well.
And I deliberately didn't download that vision because I didn't want you to see it. But let's look at the other one from Monaco
last year
in 2016.
Oh, sorry, 16.
This is the Where's Me Tyres day. Hamilton and Ricciardo. Ricciardo's had to get out of it. He was on better tyres, could have won the race, and that happened. No penalty.
Yep. First look at that, there should have been a penalty if this was going to be applied consistently.
Shouldn't be a friggin' rule.
Well, that's
racing.
And this is the decision that people need to take about Formula One. And there is a lot of discussion at the moment about what the sport's going to be in 2021. Do they want it to be like this, or do they want it to go down the road? Now, there does have to be a rule. There has to be a rule about safe re-entry, because otherwise the sport's going to become uninsurable. And as much as we all hate insurance, the sport has to be insurable.
We've got some great comments here. Kingsley Edgar, Vettel was out of control. Now, this is a guy who used to work for Barnard in the UK, Kingsley.
Yep.
It was not deliberate. Most commentators and ex-drivers called bullshit also. And I think they're right. David Driscoll, why did the guy with all the data, camera angles and telemetry disagree with everyone watching TV? Well, in defending him, he's had to make a decision.
That's right. The driver steward on this occasion was Emanuele Pirro, who's a former Grand Prix driver, 5 times Le Mans 24-hour winner, and the chief steward was a German judge.
Don't mention the war.
But you could not have had more experienced and more respected stewards making this decision than the people they had in Canada. There were 4 stewards, 3 regular stewards and a driver's steward, as there are at every Grand Prix, and the personnel they had on this occasion was top draw.
Adam Hughes come and said, show Lewis versus Max at Monaco this year, no penalty. I haven't got that one. Show Lewis versus Ricciardo, Monaco 16, no penalty. Absolutely. You're spot on. No penalty. Shouldn't have been a penalty, no doubt about it. Rules don't apply to Lewis. Unless he's doing burnouts in a Mercedes in Fitzroy Street in St Kilda.
And look, you've also got to point out, number one, both drivers... Vettel was upset and he moved some furniture around, maybe that he shouldn't have after the race. But both drivers defended each other's position. They both showed a great deal of sportsmanship, particularly on the podium. And when Vettel told the Canadian fans to stop booing Lewis Hamilton because it wasn't his decision. Robbie, we've got some Twitter reactions here from some noted people in the sport.
Jimmy Johnson, 7-time NASCAR champion. I'm glad we don't have stewards in NASCAR. Hashtag BS when he was asked about how he felt with the penalty.
Stuff.
Let's go to the next one, Robbie. I'm glad that's the same one.
He said it twice.
Here we go, Mario Andretti. I think the function of the stewards is to penalise flagrantly unsafe moves, honest mistakes as a result of hard racing, not honest mistakes as a result of hard racing. What happened at the Canadian Grand Prix is not acceptable at this level of our great sport. And I think Mario's got a bit of... experience here. Mark Webber, your mate, Phil. Any of the stewards ever raced at the front of F1? Well, Pirro won Le Mans 5 times. Didn't watch the race. Have now seen the incident. Mental penalty. Absolutely, I agree with that bit. But I don't think you can't get into Pirro. Will Davison, was it borderline? Yeah, of course. Most of the moves at the top end of motorsport, but no contact, and for the win of F1 GP, if he did any less, you'd be crucified for being weak. Absolute proper comment there by Will Davison. It's racing, move on, unfortunate set of circumstances. Do I agree with the penalty? No, but boy, I've read some overanalyzed crap today. Exactly.
Yeah. Look, there's a couple of points to be made here, and we'll wrap up this discussion. People are going to keep talking about this. Number one, if you're on social media, don't get up Emanuele Pirro. It's not his fault. These people are there to make decisions. Nobody always agrees. Not everybody agrees all the time with the umpire's decisions. Second thing is Ferrari have lodged an intention to appeal. They haven't appealed yet. Well, they didn't as of the point where we came on an hour ago. So what will happen? That's a very good question. So I did a lot of research today, read the rule book. The 5-second time penalty cannot be withdrawn. So there won't be any change in the results so far as the race is concerned. Nor can there be any escalation of the penalty. The next step up would have been a 10-second time penalty. The next step after that would have been a drive-through or adding a drive-through to the race time. So there's been a breach of rules. The rule book says this is the penalty that applies, but the problem seems to come from the fact that in the past, with different stewards, it hasn't always been applied in what people might consider to be the same manner. So as usual, refereeing in sport, Gerald, there's always passionate feelings about it, and there's always varying views, and by the way, you're wrong.
Well, I mean, there's always passion. I mean, you can call people assholes.
No,
But,
we would never do that. Hey, let's go through the results. Lewis Hamilton.
Hang on, before we do. Paul Wright, Wolf said it best. Don't like the penalty, change the rule. Exactly, and that's the same as the Winton thing with Scotty McLaughlin, where, nothing wrong with what Scotty McLaughlin did the other week when he won at Winton. Absolutely.
That's right.
People that criticised him were out of line because
they weren't at the driver's briefing.
He just read the sheets properly.
The results were Lewis Hamilton won, Sebastian was second. Leclerc, who wasn't told by the Ferrari team, we'll get to that in a second, about the penalty. Bottas was fourth, qualified sixth. Fifth was Max Verstappen. Sixth, Danny Ricciardo from Perth.
Now that's his best result for the year for the
Renault.
Renault, and qualified fourth.
Yep. Fantastic effort.
Great result.
A few people dropped the ball in qualifying, but he picked it up. Hulkenberg 7th and Gasly 8th in the Red Bull. Constructors' points, Mercedes-Benz 295, Ferrari 172. They're a mile ahead. Lewis Hamilton 162, Bottas 133, Vettel 100. And we've actually... Did you get this? Where did this come from? Was this one of your spies?
No, this is one of yours.
One of my spies. We at the Motorsport show, not ready for Facebook Live players, have come up with an exclusive transcript right there, folks, of the Ferrari strategic debrief after the Canadian Grand Prix. And the car's engineers, whose names happen to be Gerald and Phil, were discussing what happened after the race. Okay, Phil, not a bad result, hey, Gerald. Second and third.
Yes, but I cannot help feeling that we forgot to do something.
Oh,
That's my Italian.
Like what?
I don't know. It's a nagging feeling.
Okay, let's go through a few things, old friend. Do you have the correct amount of imported pure Italian mountain air in the tyres?
Grazie, yes.
Did we have the right steering wheels in each of the cars?
Grazie, yes.
Were the drivers wearing balaclavas?
I think so.
I think so. Who said that? Oh, yeah. I think so.
Of course.
Did you tell Charlie Monaco that the superstar who was leading the race dropped it off the road again and Peter Lewis, and when he came back on, earned himself a 5-second penalty?
Oh, mamma mia. I forgot to mention it.
Bugger. Oh, well, never mind. I'm sure he will find out in his own time.
Never mind. Are we still stopping at the El Loco Equestrian Centre on the way to the airporto?
The Crazy Horse? Gee, Gerald, I hope so. I have plenty of $1 bills.
But this is Canada, Felipe. They don't have $1 bills. They only have $1 coins.
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
There you go. Thank you. That's Phil Stribble.
Years of dramatic training, folks.
Oh, my God.
To bring you that.
Danny Young's chimed in. Loved the topic tonight. And as much as I dislike Vettel, I think he was hard done by.
Yeah, it's got
On
nothing to do
another
with...
note, great lighting in the studio tonight. Thank you, Danny. You missed fish and chips as well. Now, who else said? Cameron J says, "G'day, guys." G'day, Cameron. Adam Hughes. Mario is spot on about his comments on it.
Mario's spot on about most things.
And Paul Wright, I'd love harder racing, but where do we draw the line? Yeah, I reckon it's harder racing's good. Harder racing, banging door handles, banging wheels.
Formula One cars don't have door handles.
But they got wheels. They got wheels.
Do you know what those wheels cost?
Oh,
by the way, let's talk about the
celery cap.
The celery cap. It's not the carrot cap. It's the celery cap.
the celery cap. And if you missed the news, they've agreed to introduce a salary cap. They're discussing a salary cap for 2021, Philip. And
As part of the new rules.
just a lazy $175 million per year. But wait, there's more.
Oh, good.
The salary cap does not include marketing, so that's lucky.
Marketing. That's does that mean paying PR people?
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of money.
Well, some of them.
Yeah.
So there's plenty out there that are worth nothing, I'll tell
Well,
you.
hang on a second.
And that doesn't include the drivers. I mean,
Oh, the drivers, yeah.
so that's a lazy. What's Lewis on? 50
55 according to Forbes.
US.
Yeah, and he's 13th on the list of the top 100 earners in sport, by the way.
So that takes him to. That would take them to 230 million, with Lewis and 175 at
Yeah.
Mercedes.
And what else? What else does not fit under the cap?
Just something rather inconsequential.
Incontinental?
Inconsequential doesn't include engines.
It doesn't include.
It's not like you spend a lot of money on engines, right?
It doesn't include engines.
Does it include gearboxes?
They're talking about a common gearbox for 21.
So they're not even at that yet.
Nah. And of course, Ferrari and Mercedes-Benz are fighting these rule changes for all their might. Ferrari, who already gets $70 million out of the till before anybody else gets paid, by the way.
How much do they get?
They get $70 million as an ex gratia payment for being Ferrari. It's called an historical payment.
I'd like a bit of history there.
Yeah. Yeah. Next race, French Grand Prix, 23rd of June.
That's the day I'll be at Sonoma.
Really?
For the NASCAR race. I've never.
You won't be-
ironically, Philip and I used to. We should pull out some old vision off the interweb.
Yeah.
Some old vision where we used to commentate at the Calder Park Thunderdome.
Which is just like Sonoma. That's in the wine region of the northwestern suburbs of Melbourne.
Yeah. Well, there's a few winos out there. So looking forward to Sonoma. Never been to an American NASCAR race, so
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it. And this weekend, though,
Yeah.
Darwin, Hidden Valley, supercars.
Been there.
Yes.
It's fantastic. What a great event. 2018 Darwin. Do you know who won race one?
Scotty McLaughlin.
Correct. From SVG and David Reynolds third. In race two, David Reynolds was in first place from Scott McLaughlin and someone named Jamie Winker.
So I would tend to believe that 6-hour race and with 2 minutes to go and this one.
What are you doing?
Oh, someone sent me something.
Stop playing poker on your laptop.
Righto. No, I'm just trying to keep up with what the people are sending me.
Good.
So this year, the big news today or yesterday was that Richie Stanaway is out
Yep, not racing this weekend.
for the Boost Mobile GRM team. Hasn't been a great season so far for GRM, and there's a bit of comment on Speed Cafe, I think it was, or Supercars website today, of Barry saying that they've just got to pull their fingers out. It hasn't been a good year, and for Richie, I tell you, look, the guy's super talented, and he's won in GP2, GP3.
GTs.
He's won in GTs, driving for Aston Martin.
He's won in V8s. Well, he's won in supercars. He won in Sandown 500.
Sandown 500, but his full-time career in supercars has not really gone to plan, has it?
It hasn't, and Chris Pither stepped into the car last time around at Winton on the Sunday. It's a neck problem for Stanaway. He's been having treatment, but that treatment hasn't. He hasn't been able to. He had a setback. That was a description on the website. And look, there's a couple of things worth pointing out here. One is that GRM were pretty good at Darwin last year. Garth Tander, 5th in one race and 7th in the other. Now, it would be asking way too much to ask either James Golding or Chris Pither to repeat those results, but it does show that there's speed in those cars at that track. And Pither was 14th, equalled Stanaway's best performance of the season at Winton in one race and virtually zero seat time apart from a run on Friday and qualifying on Sunday. So if you're GRM, if you're Gaz and Baz, and Pither qualifies, let's say he qualifies 16th and finishes 12th in the first race and is on the edge of the top 10 on Sunday, what do you do?
I think you still go with the plan. It can't continue to go all that bad for Stanaway. I think you've got to stick with the plan.
Yep. And look, let's not. We're not making light of this situation by any stretch of the imagination. Stanaway's had his struggles, but it's you've got a pretty able set of hands in Chris Pither to step into the car in Darwin, and he does a good job on many occasions. But anyway, look, we'll have to wait and see. That's one of the mysterious things. But at the moment, the fight for the front is going to be a cracker. Reynolds has been quick there before, and ADP at Erebus is Andre Di Pasquale is coming on, so there's going to be plenty to see around the big brown land on television, live from Darwin. Hidden Valley, where nobody talks about the weather. You know why? Because it's always 32 degrees.
Well, there was that time we stepped off the plane and it was 23 degrees, and the next day on the front page of the Northern Territory News was the headline, Bloody Freezing. That's right. With a picture of a hand holding a thermometer showing the temperature, and also a picture of a crocodile with a scarf around its neck. Bloody freezing.
What they didn't tell you
degrees.
was that the crocodile had eaten a child and the scarf was the only thing that was left.
What was funny about that day, actually, was getting off the plane and going, Jesus, how good's this? You know, we've come up from Melbourne, we've got the shorts on, we've got the T-shirts on. This is fantastic weather, and everyone, all of the locals are walking around going, Jesus, bloody cold. You know, we're reaching for the sun cream and make sure you got your hat on. And
It was a nation divided by climate, wasn't it?
absolutely.
Hey, we're going to tell you in a second when's the next show going to be. But can I squeeze something in? It's not on the run sheet.
Yeah.
Where's the camera? Can I have a shot, Robbie? That one? Okay. Sir Jackie, happy birthday, 80th. The man is a titan of the sport and one of the great drivers of all time. Thunderous ovation. Turn it off.
I can't hear it.
Jackie Stewart, 3 times world champion, fantastic driver, a huge contributor to the sport, and a man who remains an icon. And I've been lucky enough to share some time with him and have some conversations over the last little while. It's been fantastic. So happy birthday, Jackie.
I can't, Phil.
What?
Can't, name dropping again. I was telling Mick Doohan last week how you are such a name
Were you in
dropper.
Monaco?
No, I wasn't actually, but
Mick was. Okay, when's the next show, Gerald?
Next show, Philip, because I am going to Sonoma at Sears Point. So we're going to have a week off or a fortnight off. So next show is the 10th of July. And we're going to have plenty to talk about. And actually, I've been talking with Paul Morris and Russell Ingle a bit lately. We might even, along the way, do a flip, one of us or the other, to so that we go
Really? So it's going to be
weeks.
you and Ingle and me and Dude?
Yeah.
No, it's not going to be that. I don't think that'll
So we might do a flip on the weeks so we can
Big
go
fans,
alternate
by
weeks.
the way, Dude and Ingle.
Yeah, and Paul's been watching tonight, so like he always does and tunes in and normally gives me a call. He gave me a call after the last show, laughing very
Did he
hard.
call you an asshole?
No, he thought it was hilarious. It's one of the greatest blokes you'd ever want to know. Phil, have you looked at Dale Jr.'s download?
Yes, I have.
Dale,
Yeah, I know.
When they talk about the dude.
PM.
Yeah,
I know.
it's hilarious. And
is a
yeah, no, he's
So
one
anyway-
of the world's great blokes.
So anyway, we won't be back on air, but if anybody wants to pop around to my place on Wednesday night at 8:30, I'll be walking around the lounge room saying things to myself.
10th of July.
10th
So
of
that's
July.
in 4 weeks' time. We'll be back on air, and I don't know if I'm going to try and record a couple of bits and pieces with James and Bryce if I can.
And find us a new sponsor. Are you going to Nebraska? Are you going to go and buy a Dodge?
I'm going to go. I'm going to go to Jensen and drive the.
He's going to be driving a compact.
I know I'm going to be driving the VBD truck.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it like a BRT? That's what the Fire Brigade has. Do you know what that stands for?
No.
Big red truck.
Okay. All
See
right.
you later.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Hope you've enjoyed it. We've loved having you online. David Driscoll, hey guys, perfect telecast tonight. No buffering, great job again. We really appreciate that. We appreciate everyone's input, and thanks, Tony Heasley. We really do appreciate everyone watching, and we hope you've enjoyed it. Tell your friends about us.
And your enemies.
And your enemies as well. And we'll see you in 4 weeks' time.